in early October, Shawn, myself, and two friends traveled over to Iceland. It was not my first time there. It was my second. But for everybody else, it was their first time. And it was time for them to experience the wonders of this fascinating and very young island. Iceland is located in the North Atlantic, off the coast of Greenland and between Norway. And it's relatively small in size. The way that our maps project things, nobody really can tell anything because of the projections of our flat maps. But Iceland itself is pretty small. It's about the size of the state of Kentucky. But this little island country also has an amazingly small population, considering that it is its own basically island state. It has half the population of the District of Columbia. So in that little 9x9 sort of diamond shape that I live in, there's 700 to 800,000 people. Iceland itself only has 350,000 people. Quick little anecdote about that is that, and the first time I was here, I was with my mother, and we went to the opera because she's an opera fan. The opera house is absolutely gorgeous, and we're sitting in this gigantic hall. And I looked around at her. I said, "Look around." And she says, "What?" I said, "Do you realize that 1 out of every 300 people in this entire country are sitting here watching an opera with you?" So I guess Iceland has a very strong affinity for opera, considering that 1 of every 300 people in an entire nation was watching an opera. So just, kind of fun things. Iceland is, called Iceland, but if you'll notice just from this little image, Greenland should be Iceland. Iceland should be Greenland. And here's a satellite picture to prove that. Iceland does have some large ice sheets to it. And these are pretty massive. If you can think about that, this is the size of Kentucky. And you have these permanent sheets of ice. Just for perspective, you'll see that by the way, nothing in Iceland is pronounceable to an American. So we're not even going to try. It's not pronounceable. I've tried, I've asked, I'm not pronouncing anything. The only thing I can pronounce is Reykjavik. But you'll notice that the national park, and there's this big ice sheet. That's where the volcano in 2010 erupted. It was under this. So just if you want to know where that was. It's also not as cold as you think. It's at the top of the Atlantic current, which brings up warm water from the south. So the temperature in Iceland is warmer than Boston in general. And it's pretty on par with us here at this time of the year. The summer is cooler, but around here it's about the same temperature. Also, since it's an island that's volcanic in nature, there are very few animals. There are no snakes. There is only one native mammal, and that is the Arctic fox, and it probably came over on some ice floe. There have been a few polar bears, but as soon as they reach Iceland, shall we say, they become trophies. Several polar bears have reached Iceland over the years, but they don't last very long, is the story that we were told. It is so bare and so rock barren that NASA used to use it for moon simulations, which I think is pretty cool. And we're going to concentrate our entire little talk today on this little area down here. This is called the Icelandic, I don't know, Reykjanes Peninsula. You can see Reykjavik at the top and the peninsula down here. And you'll see that's just this little area right here. Our entire little tour is right here. So basically between Selfoss, Reykjavik, and the rest of this little peninsula. And the fun thing is that Iceland it's a geological playground, especially if you like volcanic stuff. But really, the question is, what makes Iceland such a strange place? Geology, just simple geology. Everything in Iceland is due to geology. And we'll see how an entire country was built upon hot basalt. Everything there is their power, everything, you name it. And why is this? I don't know, is this going to play? Hang on a sec. Here's some as we say, Icelandic video porn. So if you go to Iceland, you will visit this. This is called Gullfoss or Golden Falls. It's a large river that just cascades into this gigantic chasm. So that's Gullfoss, and you gotta watch Gullfoss. But what makes Iceland so special is, in all the geological aspects, is it sits along the mid-Atlantic ridge. And you can see the mid-Atlantic ridge going here all the way up the entire Atlantic Ocean, only in the ocean. And then you see right here, here's Iceland. The mid-Atlantic ridge goes right smack through the middle of Iceland. And that's where this becomes a geological playground. This area is where the plates of the Earth's crust meet, and it leads to lots of volcanoes, earthquakes, spectacular geological forms, sequelae, and hot springs. And you can see in Iceland, the mid-Atlantic ridge just goes right through it. Here it is. It's got splits to it because of just the way that this works. But you can see here's the split right here. On the left, you have the North American plate, tectonic plate. On the right, you have the Eurasian plate. And these plates drift apart from each other at about 1 inch per year. And that's the Atlantic Ocean is how this formed. So Iceland is slowly growing apart and growing east to west very slowly every single year. What's interesting is that 60 million years ago, this is the formation of Iceland, a magma plume came up through and was originally below Greenland. But as the plates started to move apart, the magma plume was released from all the pressure from Greenland, and Iceland began to form. And that just has led to some spectacular things. You can see we are standing in the mid-Atlantic ridge right now. Over on the left, North America, on the right, Eurasia, sort of. The quick note about this is called the bridge between two continents. And this is the classic photo that you take under it. Are we really at the very line middle? No. The mid-Atlantic ridge in this area is a couple miles wide, but there are some really neat chasms in there, and that you can just pretend that you're on that exact spot. And for all we know, we might be, but it's really neat to see this thing. There's another park up there called Thingvellir, and it's where the Icelandic Parliament has met for 1,000 years, and it's located right in this ridge. And here's Thingvellir, and here's again the cracks in the crust of the Earth, right where the plate tectonic boundaries are. It's one of the more popular places in Iceland to visit, and I consider it, the geological holy land for people who collect rocks and like geology, because you're standing in it. There's nothing you feel it. And I don't know why 1,000 years ago, before they knew about plate tectonics, where the heck basalt came from, they knew this place was special. And the Parliament met right here. So 1,000 years ago, the Icelanders knew this was a special place. And I think it's really pretty neat that you can stand here and you just feel the geology underneath you. Geologically, it's one of the youngest countries. It's not old. It's only about 18 to 25 million years old. The oldest rocks on the surface of Iceland. And the reason for that is obviously it's just all volcanic. If you'll notice, there's 130 volcanoes on Iceland. And if you remember the map from earlier, you can actually see, going down right along this ridge. You can see it very faintly on here. You can see the a little line. You can see the Mid-Atlantic ridge going right down there, and the other part of it going right through the Reykjanes Peninsula right here. And there's 130 volcanoes in Iceland with an eruption about every 5 to 10 years. And we're going to talk about one of those in a little bit. So about every 5 to 10 years, one of these things goes pop. Sometimes it causes worldwide havoc. And in this case, the one we're going to talk about, it was more like a blurbling slurpy. But a couple other things you need to know about Iceland. This intense underground heat from the magma, it powers the country. Literally, it actually powers the country. Almost all of Iceland's power comes from geothermal energy or hydropower. You have these huge glaciers with, you saw the river flowing to Gullfoss earlier. So they generate electricity via steam, geothermal, or hydropower. And Gullfoss, which is a national park now, almost was turned into a hydro plant. And there's a great story about the woman who saved it. But back to the geothermal aspect of this, it's Iceland's one of its most popular tourist attractions, or shall we say traps, is the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is located in the little town of Grindavik. I should have a map of Iceland, but it's right on the peninsula. It's on the southern end of the peninsula, right by the airport. It's really very close to the airport. I gotta bust some bubbles here. The Blue Lagoon really is wastewater from a geothermal plant. It's not natural. There's nothing, it's not natural. You want to believe it is. You really want to. It's basically,
it's a pool.
It's a pool. Basically from power plant spit. And the way that happened is, they drill down deep down in that area to tap the geothermal waters down there. And the water down there in this particular area is really rich in silica. I mean, this silica is real. You can see it in the photo. And the silica is real. And it's salty silica too. So the water is salty, and it all comes from the ocean, which is very close by. As the ocean water seeps into the deep rock layers, brings salt with it, and it dissolves the host rock mineral. We'll talk about silica a little later on when we talk about different compositions of lava. But this water that is there, it can't be used in homes because you can't drink it, and it's really corrosive. But it's used to heat fresh water in a heat exchange kind of system, where it heats treated fresh water, and then this stuff, they can't pump it back underground because the pressure is too high. They're not going to dump it in the ocean. So what they did when they first built this plant was they just dumped it right on the lava flow, on the lava field. And some guy, I forgot his name, back in the late 80s, started bathing in these pools and noticed it helped his psoriasis. And pretty soon, primitive facilities were built at the site, eventually leading to the large complex that we see today. The lagoon itself continues to expand because this power plant that you see in the background continues to dump water right on the surface. It's just as if I just took a hose and dumped it right in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue. So it just keeps on dumping water, and you can notice it that I've been there twice. You can see that the pool now is much bigger than it used to be. Not the pool that you're bathing in here, because it's just actually concrete lined, I believe. But the area, you could just see it expanding, and it expands every single year. And they have to keep on digging trenches, I was reading, to help try to keep it a little bit contained. When you're at the Blue Lagoon, they don't like you to really know that this is from this. So you'll see the berms in the background. You can't see the power plant from the lagoon. They are so good at hiding this, but I think that from the just aspect of the geology of this is fascinating. You are bathing in magma heated water, and I think it's really cool. Is it totally touristy? Yeah, it is. It is fun though. You get to swim up to a bar and enjoy your libations while soaking in a gigantic hot tub. And for a lot of people that go to Europe, they stop over in Iceland for a day, soak in the water, and go back to the airport. But aside from
it looks so handsome.
We had to do it. You just had to do it. But aside from neat tourist traps, there are many geysers, mud pots, and other natural geothermal features just across the island. Like, it's a la Yellowstone. You're basically in a gigantic Yellowstone. Actually, I don't know how much smaller Yellowstone is than Iceland, because Yellowstone is huge. Um, Along a popular driving route on the peninsula area, and just out a little bit, called the Golden Circle, you will drive up past a place called Geysir, Geysir. It's the place where we get the word geyser from. And the capital of Iceland itself, Reykjavik, means smoke cove, and the smoke is steam. And so it's the name itself is an homage to the geothermal activities right under the peninsula. This is just this is right by Geysir. It's not actual Geysir, because I have photos of it, but it just wasn't impressive. But this is one of the hot pools right there that you can walk right by. And if I can get this to play, just all over the country, there are these bubbling spring things. Some of them stink, like this one did, and you can see the sulfur deposits right on the background. Others are just mud pots that boil, and some of them have absolutely no stench to them whatsoever. But aside from bathing in nice warm water and getting your drinks at the bar and touring around looking at that, we came here, hang on a second here, to discuss a volcano. Yes, this is a little sign and it says volcano. You walk up and there it is. When we planned the trip, originally this volcano was in unrest, and it was rattling the entire peninsula with thousands of small earthquakes. Nobody knew when it was going to erupt, and what was interesting about it is the peninsula hasn't seen a volcano erupt in thousands of years. It has been geologically quiet for thousands of years, and then suddenly there were earthquakes. Most of them were pretty minor. The strongest one was 5.7. So it was, that's a pretty significant one, especially for us here. But nobody really knew when the volcano was going to erupt because there was no history of it here in recorded history. And then it erupted. One day it just erupted. And it did so for quite some time. The eruption began on March 19th of 2021. I would tell you the name of the volcano, but again, this is Icelandic. It's a struggle. It's Fagradalsfjall.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's Fagradalsfjall volcano, and the name is actually just from the surrounding area. It's the volcano itself hasn't been given a formal name yet. Unlike the volcano that erupted in 2010, this volcano was not under a glacier. And I was like,
the eruption was like that.
Yes, that was the eruption. But unlike the volcano in 2010, this wasn't under a glacier. There was no glacier, so there was no ash produced. This is more of a shield volcano, more akin to Mauna Loa, as discussed earlier. So more akin to Mauna Loa, this is a shield volcano, and there aren't many shield volcanoes on Iceland. Most of them are more cinder cones, but this was a shield volcano. So it didn't explode. Surely it did produce large lava fountains, just like Kilauea recently, if you remember the lava fountains in Kilauea that decimated communities. But this produced lava fountains and a cinder cone. This volcano did not really disappoint because it was approachable. It was an approachable volcano because it didn't explode. It had that fountaining that you saw, and that fountaining was visible 25 miles away from Reykjavik because the fountaining was over 900 feet tall at some points in time. It was insanity. I saw pictures of the sky over Reykjavik being bright red in the distance. It looked like Mordor because of just this volcano in the distance. It was crazy. There was a glow at night. So here we can see, this is not my photo because by the time that we reached the volcano, the active eruption of lava had stopped. But I want you to take note of the people. This is hard. The problem with Iceland is it's hard to tell scale. There's no trees. Iceland is basically a treeless island. When I was there 10 years ago, there were no trees, like none. Iceland has subsequently taken on an effort to try to plant lots of trees, but again, you're talking in northern latitude, so they're really small. They have a joke in Iceland. It's what do you do if you get lost in an Icelandic forest? You stand up. But if you notice on the very bottom, right in the crux of where the lava meets the bottom, these are people, just for your scale. These are little people standing here. So this is one of the huge flows that came down from the volcano. And as we saw over here in the previous photo, you can see a scoria cone being produced right by the main vent of the volcano. I was hoping to see this, but we missed it by about 2 weeks. And that really kind of was disappointing in some ways.
I'm okay with not being burned by lava.
No.
Wow.
But this volcano erupted for a decently long time. Remember, we were there in October and it started in March. And that's relatively quite long for most volcanoes, not shield volcanoes. Because remember, Kilauea erupted for quite some time too. But what made this fun was that it was just totally approachable by people. The last flowing lava was on September 18th, and we were there October 3rd or 4th. Let's see. So here you can see, again, that's that one area over here, and you can it's cooled, but not cold. Again, scale is really hard to understand in these pictures. The total output of lava from the volcano was almost 2 square miles, with a volume of 5.3 billion cubic feet. And some of the flow areas were 300 feet in depth. Now, it's really kind of hard to understand this, but I'll get there in a sec to understand when discussing how much lava this really is. Because you look at this, you're like, yeah, some lava there, it's not that much. But it really is quite extensive. And I'll get to that in just a couple minutes here. This lava flowed relatively well because it has a low concentration of silicon dioxide. It was about 45 to 52% silicon dioxide. Whereas rhyolite, which we discussed earlier with Doug, rhyolite has a much higher concentration of silicon dioxide, up to 70%. So this lava is much thinner, much like the lava of Mauna Loa, and especially of Kilauea. And the thin lava leads to fantastic formations of pahoho, because it's pahoho lava. It gives ripples and it gives waves and all sorts of interesting just formations. They're really spectacular to look at. Here's evidence that we were actually there. But this is dry, obviously cooled lava. This is barely 2 weeks old. This lava, and you can just see just fantastic shapes and folds and ridges. It's absolutely spectacular. One thing that you do not want to do on this is fall. If you fall on this, you are at GW Hospital. This stuff was razor sharp, absolutely crazy razor sharp. I was actually amazed at how sharp it was. We did come home with a few pieces of lava. We were allowed to, but it's a crazy razor sharp. I just want to draw a note. In the background, you'll see this ridge, and you'll see the lava just flow down this stuff. It just like poured over the ridges into these valleys. Now the lava flowed in fits and spurts. The average lava flow from towards the end of the eruption was about 500 cubic feet per second out of the volcano. And again, it covered about 2 square miles. What's interesting is that it's really hard to judge for a lay human for me to say, how much lava is that? Is that a lot of lava? Is it not a lot of lava? It's a lot of lava. And the way to do that is I did some calculations. I got out my stethoscope, my oscilloscope, and got some scope, and I figured it out. It is enough lava flowing per day to fill a 130-foot cube. Now, that may not sound that big. That is an entire city block, 13 stories high. Every single day it was popping out of this thing. That's a lot of volume. And all of it spilled down into these valleys. It never reached the ocean. Just, because it kind of got stopped up. So it never did make it to the ocean. But when we were there, we were walking at the very end of it, and it was still hot. It was still steaming. You put your hand in there, deep down in there, you got toasted. So it really was really nice, and it was an experience. And then you just look at all the different formations, just because this is not typical Icelandic lava. This is the very end of where it flowed. This is the end. It stopped right here. And you can see this is just, for scale, this is not very big. These are just average size, like this is about, maybe a foot across, the rock down at the bottom. And you can see there's no plants here really. But the good news is that when you go to Iceland and you go tour their erupting volcano, you don't have to worry about being hungry because somebody brought a food stand. This is very civilized. And we got hot chocolate. In addition, when you're on the ridge overlooking the volcano, they installed Wi-Fi for you too, because this is what civilized countries do. So there was a very good telephone and Wi-Fi reception provided by the government of Iceland. Also, since we were at an active volcano, I took the ring and had to dump it in the volcano into Mordor. This is what you do.
I still want that ring back.
No. Just because I took away your power, it's okay. Things to note is that you can see there's the cone is this cone is right back here in the background. It's amazing just to see how much flowed out of this thing and just blurbled out. The volcano hasn't really erupted since the 18th of September. It's thought that now it's not going to erupt anymore. The earthquake activity has significantly decreased, but it's being studied extensively because this volcano is not typical of Icelandic volcanoes. It formed a shield volcano kind of formation, and the lava was very thin, and it was from and it was definitely from the top of the mantle. So Icelandic wise, this is a strange volcano. Nobody's sure if it's going to come back to life again, but as of right now, they don't think it's going to, which for me is kind of disappointing because I want to see it erupt again. So a couple of summation notes here about Iceland. If you like lava rocks, this is your place. If you like basalt, you're in heaven. If you like roadway gravel that is fresh, Iceland is your thing. If you are looking for pretty, beautiful minerals and rocks, Iceland is not your place. Just because of it's just so geologically young. Most of you know that my collecting of minerals is volcanic in origin, and New Jersey trap rock, which is basaltic stuff, and the stuff that's in the cavities of it. Iceland's minerals basically are, we will hear about Icelandic spar, which is calcite, in a later presentation. There's some zeolites, so you'll get some natrolite, you get some stilbite, and you get some hewlandite. You won't find dinosaur tracks. I don't even know if they have any fossils there. But the best minerals are in a place called West Fjords, and it's the oldest part of Iceland, and that is for another trip, and we are going there. We are totally going there to see that. But a couple notes: Iceland's beautiful. The people were absolutely spectacular. The food was great, despite what anybody would say.
What I was surprised.
Shawn eats vegan, and he ate like a king there.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a really like a good king, not like monarchy.
Um, but it's I think it's a spectacular visit for especially for anybody who's interested in geology, just simply because um, you're seeing geology in action. You're seeing it live. You're standing right in the mid-Atlantic ridge. And then you're also seeing the sequelae of it. You're seeing active volcanoes, you're seeing volcanic flows, you're seeing geothermal activity as well. And anywhere you go over a mountain ridge, you go over the road, it's amazing. So I was not paid nor in any way, shape, or form compensated by the Icelandic Board of Tourism.
I was though. So let me tell you, you can get all the best shirts at. No.
So it's just a quick little tour of just one teeny. Again, that's one very small part of Iceland. I've never made it past Gullfoss really, past that waterfall, but that will happen in probably this coming summer.
Ooh,
surprise!
My birthday.
I am open to questions. If I can answer them legitimately, I will. If I cannot, I will make it up and you'll never know.
How did you travel around?
Excuse me?
How did you travel around?
Vehicle.
Well, in this particular trip, we took bus tours. They had small bus tours. You can take them anywhere. You do not need a car in Iceland. If you're staying in Reykjavik in an area, it's very walkable.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have many bus tours that will do the Golden Circle. So we pretended we were tourists from some small Asian countries, getting on the bus and off the bus. The previous trip that I was at, we did drive, and you can rent a car. It's just easy.
Well, I mean, you almost like got blown away.
Well, yes. Oh, yeah. Iceland is very windy, by the way. So if they run out of geothermal energy, they can use wind energy.
Mm.
When we were there, it was the last time I was there with my mother. I took her because she always wanted to see it. And it was so windy at one point in time that rocks were blowing across the road. I also neglected to talk about the Northern Lights, which if you are lucky, and we were very lucky, and saw a spectacular show of these ribbons. Just most of the Northern Lights images you see are time lapsed, and it doesn't look that good.
Not in
I don't want to disappoint.
No, I mean, it's true. You really like it. It is. You can see some things with the naked eye, but a time-lapse photograph really captures the things that you see image-wise online.
Right. Unless you see that geomagnetic storm that one night that Beth and I went out, that Dr. Shawn was not out.
I was out. I was asleep.
You were definitely out.
Thank you.
But that one night, it was, we were with this, we took the bus tour again, and there's this woman who was our guide. She reminded me of a stereotypical old East German woman, and she was like, "This is the best storm we have seen in ages." And I was like, and it's exactly how she sounded.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there, but that's spot on.
And none of us believed it. But it really was spectacular. You saw these ribbons, and then I read the next day in the space weather forecast that they said it was one of the strongest ones of the year. So.
Sorry if I missed
there.
this,
She wrote that letter though.
What month were you there?
October.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much better. October, November is the best time to see Northern Lights.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go the first trip?
Same spot.
Okay, so you've not done the circle?
I've done that circle. That small,
okay.
not the huge circle of the island, but the small little golden circle. Yeah, I've done that twice now.
Yeah.
You didn't get out to Lake Mývatn.
Nope.
That's
that's
something to say. It's another thermal spot in the far north, but they count 1 million flies per cubic meter. So it's a very interesting place to go, and never mind the flames.
I would bring a blowtorch.
Yeah, no, I'm busy. I have to wash my hair that night.
Yeah.
Dan,
I
did
couldn't
you-
get half my pictures because the flies are walking on the lens.
See, yeah, no, I can't. I told you I can't make it.
Yeah.
Did you run into any obsidian?
I did not see any obsidian. And I looked, I picked up all the rocks and all that. I don't know. I've never seen a picture of obsidian from there. I don't know if it doesn't exist, but I have not seen it. But I will look into that because I'm actually curious.
The chemistry is wrong for obsidian.
Oh, well, that
You
would
get
explain that.
obsidian from your high silica rocks. You won't get it in the basaltic materials. So
Oh, okay.
So how did you get there? Icelandic Air or what? Tell us how
Yeah.
you got there.
IAD to Keflavik Airport.
Via Frankfurt. Was it not Frankfurt?
No, we went direct.
What did we do for Frankfurt?
Frankfurt
Oh.
was Italy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Never mind. We went direct.
But you can do it through Frankfurt. I have.
Yeah, but
we
ain't
can
nobody
look-
gonna do that, please.
Oh, yeah.
No. They only direct. I'm an adult. I do not fly. I do not do stopovers. Thank you very much.
I agree, but we're looking at a trip in late April, and there are the direct flights, and then everything else is through Europe. You can go to, only one stopover, but it's Frankfurt or Copenhagen.
Yeah, everything
It's
is
like-
everything stops in Frankfurt.
It's
Mhm.
crazy.
I mean, they made themselves a hub. They get all kinds of sausages.
Yeah, I mean,
Great talk.
hey, it's fun. Iceland is just a fun place to go. It really is a fun place to go.
It was a lot of fun.
Did you guys find the cave that Jules Verne says leads to the center of the earth?
We are still looking.
You're still looking for that one.
We're
No,
still looking.
I found it the day that you guys went to go see the Northern Lights again. I went, and it was really nice. But then, I came back.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, if it's something like that exists, it exists in Iceland.
The thing that they don't tell you is that it goes all the way through, so you can get authentic Chinese food on the other side.
It's a long climb back up, though.
They have an elevator. It's really easy.
No, we really. I mean, I love this place. I mean, I really do. Just as a quick note, if you want to become a citizen of Iceland, you have to live there for 7 years, be financially independent, and pass an Icelandic test. So all of us are screwed.
I mean,
Yeah.
not me. I know about Snirtinger and all of that. So
Snirtinger is a restroom, by the way.
that's the only word I know in Icelandic.
Well, at least 3 of us here are going to be there in the next couple months. So,
Well, remember that word.
right.
Although if you go to Reykjavik, I do have one suggestion.
Okay.
There's really plenty of good food, but one little suggestion is this place that the locals go to.
Oh yeah.
It's down. This is easy to know. Reykjavik's tiny. It's down at the harbor, and it's right by the whale museum. There's this little place right on the water right there that was just spectacular. It's been there for 50 years. Just go there and eat. I don't even know the name of the place because it's not pronounceable, but it's
Yeah.
right down there, right next to right by it, on the same side as the whale museum, just like a little bit further down the waterfront is a
What's
spectacular.
the first letter?
I don't even remember.
K, probably K.
But it was one of the, I like food, and it was one of the best meals of my life.
It was. I mean, it was. They also, again, as a person who has a vegan diet, I was just going to have iceberg lettuce, like the Olsen twins or whatever. But it turns out that there's a lot of really great food, especially even at that place, which is like super
Fishy.
Yeah, super fishy. I mean, not fishy in a bad way, but maybe they consume a lot of fish. And they had like a vegan like pie or dessert or something. It was great. And I was just like, wow, this is more, this is more courtesy than I get in my own homeland.
Do they have greenhouses there where they raise things to eat, like in Chain of Hot Springs in Alaska? Where
Yeah,
they raise their produce and everything there in these greenhouses and
A lot
heated
of
by geothermal.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of it. On one of the trips that we took, we went to a tomato greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
and there were huge tomato vines, and that one greenhouse grew 39% of all the tomatoes consumed in the entire island.
And many bees as well.
And they had to pollinate with bees. They brought in bumblebees that don't bite. It was rather quite fascinating.
It was great. That was a fun time.
Yeah, and the whole thing is heated and powered by geothermal wells.
They also had weird tomato wine or something.
Yeah, they had everything imaginable tomato that you could eat in that place. But yeah, there's a lot of greenhouses, and if you look at there's a lot of images where you can see where they grow things. They've even successfully been growing bananas in some places in Iceland.
Do they have ice hotels like they do up in Canada?
I do not know that answer, my friend.
I feel like I have
don't
no
think so.
idea. We stayed in a conventional hotel that is perfectly fine for my purposes.
My guess is probably not, because it would have to be really cold for a really long time. I mean, unless it gets really cold someplace in the winter, because you have to cut ice to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. The only ice hotel that I know of that I've personally been in was in Quebec City.
That's because the people there are so frigid.
No.
What? Is that not right?
That's all right.
Oh, okay, my bad.
It's lovely. The crepes are wonderful.
Yeah, the people aren't.
Ouch.
What? She said the crepes were lovely. I agree.
Any questions about the geology of what we saw? All right.
Or about the other things, which again, if we don't know, we can make up. I'm happy to do that.
Is the restaurant you're talking about the Sea Baron? Is it like all oak wood on the inside? And it's like
Yeah, I think maybe that's, I don't know.
What?
She said, she's asking if the restaurant that you were talking about is called the Sea Baron, which it seems like it should be because everything is nautical themed, but nautical themed. It's nautical because they have actual fish and whatnot, but, and what are boats? No, that's not it. But it looks, wait, is that next to the thing that everything in downtown Iceland is basically the same. There's a teal building.
There's also something,
No, we didn't eat there, but
there's a place called Locale.
No, it's not the Sea Baron. Hang on. I will let you know.
Locale,
Hang on. Hang on.
or we can do
Someone
this
will-
aside, but I'm interested too.
Oh, and there's-
Locale,
I would recommend the Sea Baron.
Is it that place? No.
No, it's not that.
That place.
Yep, it begins with a K. Look at
I
that.
told you.
It's KAFFIVAGNINN.
Kaffevagnen. I think that's probably a pretty good pronunciation. It sounds like, Kaffevagnen. And
there it is.
that's exactly. It looks like the exterior looks like
A shed.
yeah. It's like white and red. It looks like a Dairy Queen used to be there.
The Icelandic folk are pretty crazy also. You go up to the Gotafoss waterfall and they go over that in kayaks, and it's 12
Whoa.
meters high, 40 feet high. They shoot it in kayaks.
No, I have to wash my hair that night, but it does sound very interesting. I have seen
More than your hair you'd have to watch for those guys.
Well, I mean, he has a little less. But is the Gullfoss the place where like they had those fences and whatnot because all those people fell in and died?
Mhm.
Yeah, Gullfoss in the winter produces a lot of
Precipitation.
well, just a lot of like not steam, but like
Water.
vaporized water, and it crystallizes and ices on everything.
Oh, it's really bad.
So now they actually close parts of the trail. But back when I was there 10 years ago, they did not. And when you went down the trail, you were holding onto this rope on the side, because if you were not, you were over the side into the water.
And it happened. Like that's
happened.
That's the reason why they closed it off now.
Yeah, people fell off it.
The lesson is, never do anything, because if you do, you'll get caught, and then you'll be, they'll close it all down.
So if anybody has any questions on what we saw, 'cause, we've been there a couple times, just feel free to reach out in my email, and I will answer what I can. You know, we're going to probably try to go back in the next year or so in the summer for a much more extended period and go to other parts of the island.
Oh, I would also like to say this is not directly geology related, but it is science related, which is that in October when we went, as a person who is originally from Seattle, the Seattle area, it was perfect weather because it's like 45-ish, 45 to 50, light jacket, you know, it's never particularly cold. I always felt very comfortable. So it was a great time of year to go if you're a person who enjoys like moss.
Well, thank you, everybody. This was great.